I expect he's hoping to fill them with ale or whiskey to make them more amenable to accepting credit, rather than demanding payment for the horses he wants, Murine said, satisfied that the parchment would be fine up her sleeve. Aye, well, Lord knows he has no the coin to actually buy them. He's already gambled away all of his own money, and your dower to boot, Beth said bitterly. Aye, Murine agreed wearily. It was not a subject she cared to contemplate. She'd been horrified when she'd learned that bit of news. She'd thought her situation dire enough when she'd had a dower but no betrothed. But without dower, it would be impossible to find anyone willing to marry her. It now looked like she would live out her days here at Danvers as an old maid dependent on her selfish brother. And that was only if he didn't tire of her presence and send her off to the abbey to become a nun. Pushing that depressing thought from her mind, she brushed the wrinkles out of her gown, straightened her shoulders and headed for the door. Come, we will sit by the fire in the great hall until they come in. Then once the food arrives, we will use that as an excuse to join the table and slip my message to one of the men. I'd been told your animals were superior, and they certainly are that. Dougal waited patiently as Montrose Danvers ran a hand down the mare's side, and then circled the horse, examining every inch of her. Lord Danvers next moved on to the stallion and gave him the same attention, examining his withers and legs, sides and head just as thoroughly. His expression was a combination of wonder and appreciation when he paused at the beast's head. Rubbing one hand down the stallion's nose, he murmured, Exactly what I was hoping for. If they meet your expectations, perhaps we should discuss payment, Dougal suggested. Danvers stiffened, several expressions flickering across his face. Settling on a wide, fake smile, the man turned away toward the keep. Come, let us go inside for beverages. I told ye, Conran muttered, stepping up beside Dougal. The bastard has no the coin. He lost it all in that last wager with his king. Dougal sighed at his brother's words, recognising satisfaction amidst the irritation in the younger man's tone. Conran had always liked saying, I told you so. Come along, gentlemen, Danvers said without looking back. There is much to discuss. Mouth tightening, Dougal glared at the man's retreating back. Danvers should have tossed him a bag of coins and bid him on his way. The only time the buyer wanted to discuss matters was when he didn't have the coin or wanted to talk down the price. Dougal was not one to be talked down. Despite knowing this was a great waste of time, though, he waved away his brother's further mutterings and trailed the Englishman out of the stables and toward the keep. He didn't need to look around to know that Conran, Geordie and Alec were following. It had been a long journey here, and they were all thirsty. The least Danvers could do was see them fed and watered before they took their beasts and headed home to Scotland. He'll try to cheat you, Conran warned, on Dougal's heels. Bloody English bastards. Most of them would sell their mother for a coin. Nah, their younger brother Geordie put in behind them. It's their daughters they sell. The old women wouldn't be worth a coin. They're too bitter from years living with the English bastards to be worth anything. The daughters, though, are usually sweet and pretty and have not yet grown bitter. Get 'em away young enough, and they're almost as good as a Scottish lass. Almost, he repeated, stressing the point. Lord Danvers has neither a mother nor a daughter, so I'm sure that's no a worry, Dougal muttered impatiently. He has a sister, though, Conran pointed out. When Dougal glanced at him with surprise, he nodded. An old maid left to wither in the vine thanks to Lord Danvers wagering away her dower. He wagered away her dower? Geordie asked with surprise when Dougal didn't comment. Was that even allowed? Alec added with a frown. From what I heard, he was named her guardian in the father's will, so he had control over it, Conran said with a shrug. Dougal shook his head and they all fell silent as they trailed Danvers into the great hall.